Hey, YouTube. Thanks for being here. Appreciate your support very much. Tonight is Friday, March 27th, 2020, and we're going to do the FFF, Factorio Friday Facts, number 340, entitled Deep Desyncs. I have not read it yet. I make sure I read it live. And on twitch.tv/Clowntown, you can catch me 5-6 days a week live on that channel. You can come in and be a part of the Twitch chat. Also, right after that, we go through the weekly question thread in r/Factorio on Reddit, and we'll just answer some questions. So this is new player night, and where we just review things. So if you like this sort of thing, hit that like and subscribe, and then if you have a question, leave it in the comment below. Or you can also come by and shoot me a follow on twitch.tv/Clowntown. Thanks for being here, and let's get into the FFF. Friday Facts 340, Deep Desyncs. Not mentioning it would be weird, says Clonin, our friend Clonin. I really think everybody has heard about this and nothing else over the last few weeks, but yes, the coronavirus, COVID-19. For now, with Factorio, everything seems okay. We're all working from home. The team is still going. And so far, we're following our plan quite well. We released the character GUI and statistics GUI last week, and it looks great. And some improvements such as new water splashes and leaf animations this week. Yep, that was just live, I want to say, today. Things are still moving along. However, it is still in early days. We haven't really had experience the whole team working remotely. So maybe some challenges that we need to tackle as time goes on. At the moment, we don't know whether it will affect our 1.0 release date. I guess it will one way or the other, but for now, we aren't announcing any changes. If there's anything that they will hinge on moving that date back, they'll go, oh yeah, COVID-19 in March, April. I hope they're staying safe. And I hope everybody on the Woob software team is doing well. Apart from the development side still running, our eShop is remaining operational. We've just restocked all variants of T-shirts. While we can't guarantee anything, if you order us from at this time, we should still be able to get your shirts to you at some point. I added the at some point. It didn't say that. See, it does not say that. Deep Desyncs. Last week we had quite a few more players than usual, and more players than usual. Oh, and Factorio was released, which meant a lot more hours and a lot more areas of the game. I guess because everybody's working from home and they're going to play Factorio, I guess. During the week, Boskid and I received quite a few desync reports with the mods. Generally, we believe it's probably the mods causing the problem. It's quite easy to cause a desync. With the control scripting, you don't know some very important gotchas, but still, we decided to investigate to help the players find out which mod is causing the problem. Oh, good. This is really good. Serpent cyclic references. One tricky desync we found is related to cyclic references and the way the Serpent serializes global Lua data. Take the example of construction drones mod, where you have a player which dispatches drones to go to work, and the player needs to keep track of what drones he owns, and the drones need to remember what player they belong to. I never played this mod. Now, this works fine during runtime, and you can access the drone from the player object and access the player from the drone object, so they refer to each other. When the game is saved, Serpent goes through all the data in global and serializes it for later. To handle the cyclic references, if Serpent detects that it has seen an object already, it writes a placeholder value and comes back to fix it later. The problem is that if Serpent chose nil as a placeholder value in Lua, writing a table value as nil is the same as deleting the key. And the key won't be seen when looping in the table in the future. Aha. So when the Serpent goes back to fix up the placeholder values, it ends up with each peer saving a different table ordering because of some even deeper technicalities with our custom version of Lua. So the problem is deep, and it was quite hard to find, but the fix is quite simple. Boss could simply change the placeholder value from nil to 0, and now the iteration order is saved correctly every time. Oh, there you go. Another report came in from a player using Factorio and Rampant. This has to be a psycho like Kafalas or somebody, right? Unit group max speed. This one, This one on the surface seemed like the mod's fault, since all the diffs in the desync reports are related to unit positions, and the rampant mod is all about units. The desync was extremely fragile and it was hard to reproduce, but eventually Boskid managed to narrow it down. There's a screenshot taken on the exact tick the desync occurred. Huh. What jumped out to me as immediately suspicious is that the biter is only just moving onto the creep. So the creep stuff. This is because the creep from Factorio 2 gives the units a speed penalty when walking on it. I did a quick experiment by commenting out the tile on the modifier code engine. The desync did not occur again. But of course, removing the code here would only treat the symptom, and the cause is something deeper. 296. So with lots of patience, Boskid narrowed it down further and further deep in the movement and unit logic behavior. What we found is that the unit is part of a unit group, and this group was caching the values of its max speed based on the slowest unit of the group. However, the value was not saved in the save game, but recalculated every time the game was loaded. Since the unit was walking on the creep, the speed was affected, and so the group calculated a lower max speed when the game was loaded. Oh, okay. This logic has been in the game since the unit groups began. It only became a problem more recently in Factorio 16 and before. A unit's max speed was always going to be based on its prototype. It doesn't change, right? It never changes. With 17, we added two nice mod capability, allowing units to be affected by tiles and allowing scripts to change unit speeds directly. It didn't come up as a problem initially, as the free play base game doesn't really use these capabilities, but it's now a mod trigger that you can pull. With every potential change, has a potential to break things. Since we only know 2 cases of a mod speed can change, Ox had made it so that the unit will notify the group to recalculate its max speed when necessary. There you go. See, that's an example of work that did not have to be done, right? It did not. There's no reason. The developers at Whoop could have just sat there and went, fix your mod. I don't know what to tell you. Right? They could have just went, we're done. Game's fine. Your mod is the one what's breaking stuff. Change your mod. But the attachment between the mod community and the developers of Factorio is super tight, and they want a bustling mod community to be able to help sell and all that business, and just making a really kick-ass game. Well, very good. I hope Clonin and the gang are are staying safe and healthy and all that, and proceeding on with Factorio and all that jazz. All right, let's take a look at Reddit. Hey, this is the weekly question thread on r/Factorio out on Reddit for March 27th, 2020. So we just pick some questions out of here and we answer them. So here we go. Pre-Oram says, so I start the game with Peaceful Mod. Then I change my mind and run 2 codes, Peaceful Mind false, and kill all unit codes. But now there are no biters on the map, like hours after I run the code. Still no biters. Please help me. This is weird. Killed all the units and then ran the code. Again, start over. I don't know. Do it on map gen. It's possible to spawn more, not in exited chunks. You can install the delete empty chunks. Yep, you could do that, but now you're piling mod on mod. Could be worth change map settings mod too. Instead of acting. Thank you so much for your help. Nice to see people who are helping instead of acting like a little kid. Well, he's not run into he hasn't run into that many little kids. Guess all the little kids in his life are terrors. Alomartyr writes, I might just be blind, but where can I see the achievements I'm missing not using Steam? Top left or top right. It'll be up here, right above you. It'll. I think it's the graduation hat, and then it can. You can see them, and then you can hit track on the ones you're missing. I'm still missing one stupid... We just need to do it. We need to pile in a multiplayer vanilla server and do it. I'm missing one stupid achievement, minions. Because now I'm playing with mods all the time, and I'm doing speed runs, so none of those... Okay. Krogs322 says, why don't biters, spitters, and worms get different qualities to damage resistance if they form a base on top of a resource deposit? That's not a bad idea. Worms that dig through an iron deposit might get a higher defense, and biters that are born in nests of root and copper might burn green when you kill them via flames. Interesting idea. Should be posted in the idea section, maybe not the question section. W Family says, so, does anyone know how many labs you can have in cereal using fast inserters till the flasks get used up? It's a great question. It depends on the research time. Chaining 5 together, this is Vicarian has it right. Chaining 5 together begins to degrade the performance less than 100. But your research time should do it. Will determine it, right? See, so as an example, atomic bomb uses 1 flask every 45 seconds. Steel researches it uses it every 5 seconds, right? And then your bonuses can bring that down. So the way to do it is just, I mean, if you got 30 labs, string them all together. But as soon as you start doing more than 5, you have degrade your performance because you're waiting on the inserter to exercise its action rather than the science to bake in the mod or in the lab. This person has it right, and let's upvote this whole chain. Upvote. Also, that's a good call. Wheatlaw from Live Audience says, what if a stack inserter? That's a good suggestion here is to, I bet you if you would replace a fast inserter with a stack inserter, you may have a better performance longer down the chain. So maybe try it with both here instead of swap out the fast inserter with a stack inserter. All right, Harry Benefit says, I've succeeded in automating red and green science. Yes, but I'm at my wit's end. I don't know how to automate the rest of the science pack. His current progress. I've completed researching gray and the blue research pack along with oil processing. Good. Harry Benefit, military should be next if you're playing with biters. If not, you probably want to do military anyway. There's no fluids involved, and all you need to do is do steel. And steel, you just cook iron an extra time. So that one you can figure out and move some stuff together. You need to probably iron to mine up an additional iron patch for some more steel as well as stone. You need lots of stone. So that's a new resource that you need to go find and bring that back and start cooking because you need bricks for those walls. But that's an easy one. Blue science gets into fluids, which is always an Achilles heel. So let's see what these folks have suggested. I like to just think that one at a time, get oil and plastic and so on. There are blueprints online, but I would recommend learning how to automate by yourself using those. You know that is the plan. Okay, I can easily look up the problem, but that would take the fun out of it. It's becoming very boring very soon. I disagree. There's thousands of hours, and we're still having a great time, even though we've seen all the blueprints. Says it's good practice to use a lot of underground belts, says Harry, splitters and design. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Underground pipes as well for the fluids. Belts haven't been a performance drain for a long time. Yeah, the code in 1.17 or 6, I think this might be 16. Code in 16 made belts really, really efficient, UPS-wise. In the past was to use undergrounds where possible because they were more UPS efficient. Actually, so that's true, but undergrounds are more FPS efficient because you're not having to render the graphics of a belt moving. So underground pipes and underground belts help one of the two. So while belts are now very UPS efficient, they are still taxing on FPS. So if you're near the benefit, or if you're near that that edge of having your computer crater because Factorio is putting too much work into it, then you may as well, you may want to use some undergrounds. College student are you? Russia? College student Romania? College student Richmond, you? Rikers, you? Blueprints? Question mark. Blueprints? I'm new to the game and playing normal single player mode. When I press blueprints, nothing shows. Is there technology that needs to be researched for blueprints? No. You can do it as soon as you get available. So the blueprint function won't be available, but you can blueprint it and get it as soon as you enter. You don't need to research bots. You need to research bots to be able to place blueprints automatically. The texts themselves have to be unlocked every game. Use cheats or something like that. This applies to bots themselves. So technology bots unlock the game. Bots you need to make the blueprint structures. Right. So yeah, blueprints are enabled, but they're more to put down the ghosts so that you remember where you were and be able to place things a little bit easier, but they can't be pre-made. Blueprints are n/a says blueprints are available right away. Construction bots are the technology that needs to be researched, which will automatically build your ghost images. That's it. You don't start with any blueprints. You can go to Factorio prints. There's lots of other ones, etc. So yeah, n/a has it correctly. You can use blueprints from the minute you enter into game. Placing them automatically is done by bots. You can build a blueprint, place it manually. There's lots of good reasons to do that, such as I'm going to put a build down, and I want to be able to quickly put all the power poles where they need. And if I start on one of the ghosts for the blueprints, I can click and then run, and it'll click and drag, and the blueprint will help me place those. That's an example. So there is an advantage even to use blueprints even before bots. Plus, if you've done something right one time and you want to remember how you did it, if you've done it right, you can paste. And it does help you at least mentally remember what you've just done. Especially if you built a smelting operation over there and I want to build another smelting operation way over there, I can copy and paste and then build it over here. So I don't have to remember it. Simortan says, trains again. Vanilla train setup. Depot request, depot provider. Calculate the shortest path for choosing the depot. Factorio chooses it. If you have multiple stations that can fill the selected station, the station name. If I say copper mine, and I have 6 train stations labeled copper mine and 1 copper depot, and I just have copper mine fill, copper depot empty, Factorio will choose the one for you on which one to go to. If you want it to choose the path, then name them something different. Del Crosba. Can we make a rule about these train posts? I don't really care how many trains people have got on a track, and it doesn't provide anything useful. The quality is going way down. I'll get to that in a minute. There's lots of train posts. No, the train thing will pass. We'll show. Alone in the corner. I just updated after some time, 0.18.6, and I can't figure out how to put new blueprints into my library. B. Hit the B key as the default, and then open library, click and paste, and drag it. You can drop it in there. Yep, alone corner. You can't. It's hard to go too long without patching. Otherwise, you'll come back and you have all these new controls going, and then you'll look at it and you'll just go, hey. So, Toner Lowdown. Is the consensus that the gears are best made in situ, or has that changed to gears on the bus? Depends. For belts, you're going to have a gear bus. Belts have, you're going to have a dedicated line. But again, that might be in situ. I have, when I do an outposting, I'll have gear trains on occasion. We don't have copper coil trains because that's a one that's best made in situ. But gears, depending, you can have a gear train. But anyway, make them in mass next to your belt maul. That's a pretty good one. Yep. So Payco agrees with my assessment with belts and whatever works for you. Gears are most never used in sub factories that also require iron plates. It's also true. So you may as well. Usually it's trivial to make them on site. You might prefer to make them in mass. I think it's better to do a gear train than say a coil train. N/A says make them in mass for the maul. I agree with that. The belt maul is your number one consumer of gears. It'll chew it up. D-Normal Human says, I've played 200 hours now, never with trains. Screw trains! I've just spent an hour once figuring out the goddamn in-game tutorials. Help me learn trains. Please help. Come on. Come see me, D-Normal Human. Let's do it. Let's do trains. Please not with YouTubes or a billion slides. There's a few simple rules of thumbs. One-way track only. Change signals going into an intersection. Rail signals coming out of an intersection. The distance between these between rail signals is at least one train length. Go for it. Chain in, rail out. Leave a lot of room. True. And D-Normal Human, come see me. TS1234666. That is not a name. That's a password. I want to start a Bob and Angel playthrough tonight as I have a ton of time now. Tonight. I'm a bit familiar with Bob's mods, but Angel's stuff basically all new to me. Anything I should know before I start? Some mods that you use. FNEI. Always. And go get FNEI. It's not a complexity mod. It's an interface that looks you load it up. Yep. So that's good. FNEI is always a good one. Also, you'll want to probably tell your friends that you won't be seeing them for a while. Make sure you call your mom and or dad. Make sure they're okay. And something you're just going to be out for a week. But otherwise, go for it. FNEI. Till you learn it. Sif Risk says, I have been noticing my FPS UPS steadily decreasing over the past 10 to 20 hours of gameplay. Currently runs between 30 to 40 UPS. My base is relatively small, so it seems weird that I'm already getting UPS issues. 200 science per minute. My graphics quality are all set to low. I tried debugging menu. It shows the total update thing. Hovers slightly above 20. I tried disabling biters. Nope. Not using solar yet. Yeah, pipes are a hog. Lots of assemblers. Flip over to, instead of having 10 assemblers, get 4 assemblers with beacons. But then your power will go up, so try and switch over to solar. Switch over to from your computer, more RAM. If you got the money, add some more RAM. Factorio is largely single-threaded. Silicon says this one. Yep. You should be getting better performance, but the culprit, you can hit F5. You can see what's pulling your UPS down. You can go after them. Bigger trains are better. Stack inserters are better. Inserter action. Every time an inserter goes... every time that happens, you use UPS. Empty pipes are fine. Pipes filled with fluid are not fine. They're very noisy. Solar beacons, no fewer pipes. If you use a pipe, use all underground pipes as best you can. Undergrounds for the win. Try and do full belts. Try and fill the belt. A full belt is the most efficient way to move material. Is a full belt. I should do a video on UPS differences, but I need a way to quantify it though. Zarthis says 2 more questions. Nope, you're out of questions. I'm looking for an inserter production blueprint that is super compact and produces all types of inserters, basically a tiny maul. I'd love to reduce the size of my current design. Is there a better way? Look up logistics maul and Factorio. Oh, Factorio.school. This is a new site. Maybe I should go to Factorio School. Factorio School. Huh. Factorio Prince? This is the same thing as Factorio Prince, isn't it? Alright, well, I'll have to research that. Mojo has them all. Catherine the Sky has them all. Nephrim Speedrun has a tiny maul. It's always good. That's the one. I use Nephrim's one for the normal ones. I don't have a good blueprint for an advanced maul other than past bots. And then I just set up, there's bots flying everywhere and it's a Steely Gold model where you do requester chests and logistic buffer chests for cleaning up your trash. That tends to work pretty well. In fact, I need to grab that one off of that ribbon base before I move on, because that blueprint, just the maul blueprint alone, took a ton of. It took 2 or 3 streams to make all the way. And if I could capture that, that would be ideal. Storm Phoenix 82 says, I'm having problems transitioning from my starter or patches to further flung ones. Trains. I set up a train to run from remote copper patch to my smelting, but it doesn't keep up at all. 2 trains, stackers. More trains, cargo wagons. Yes, is there a proper way to ratio miners to trains loading? Number 1, put as many miners as you can on the ore patch. Cover it. Number 2, as many belts coming off of it. 3, get a belt balancer, balance them into multiples of 12 or 6 or 18 or 24, because a train wagon is 6 squares long, and you can load in 6 squares at a time, 6 belt lines at a time. Also, put in buffer chests right before the wagon, so that there's a wagon and then there's an empty inserters and then a buffer chest, inserters and belt. So belt, inserter, box, inserter, wagon, and try and load them from both sides. 12 if you load from both sides, 6 if you load from one side. Try and load from both sides if you can. And then make big trains. Bigger trains are better. Bigger trains are better for UPS, more material. Big trains, big loaders, big unloaders. Stack them deep, sell them cheap. Zarthis says, I'm having issues keeping biters at bay efficiently. Lasers. Good. Lazy turrets to avoid breaches and start investing into more roboports along my borders. Good. As well as dedicated repair production, but the constant attacks makes it difficult to focus on other things. Using an artillery train, yes, as being polluted. Area is being polluted, now mostly whack-a-mole. Yep. How do you secure your borders? Artillery trains and lasers are good. Solar, burn them with the power of the sun. There's the base. Wall off. Make the walls not openly. Make them use the waters to your advantage. So look at this. Look at this line right here. So he's got a wall all around here and then an inset all the way down here. No need. The wall can be from here to here and secure that border. That is a very short wall, right? Don't and claim all of this area in there. Put some trains and cut that off and chop it out there and put your artillery around here and blow all that up and push it back. Same here. Then the water will do your walling for you. You may need to wall up that little junction right there. Use this one and get rid of all this wall in there. Put a wall from there to there. Wall off from there to there. One right there, a little small chunk of wall, and probably here. Or if you get greedy, you can do these 2 up here. Push out, tackle them. and use the water for your advantage. That is how to efficiently defend. You'll have way fewer lasers to do, way fewer biters can expand and build into this area so the biters don't expand into your area. Max artillery range is out there. Okay, good. Shark teeth also. Cow Work asks, is it possible to make a train go back and forth on a single track? Yes. I have locomotives on both ends, but it just says no paths. You got to put the signals right, and you got to put the stations on opposite sides. Always on the right. Always on the right. And signals on both sides so that the train obeys signaling both sides. I think you got it answered. Honest Banker, upvote for the name, says, anyone got smart steel furnaces solutions to share? Smart steel furnace solution. The goal is train arrives with 8,000 ore and leaves with 16,000 plate. The line tends to get poisoned with unused iron plate. Run it through standard smelter lines. He calls us setup janky. Oh, in the same train? No, use different trains. Or, no. Wait. Put a steel train down here. In with the iron and out with the steel. Don't use the same train. You get into trouble. 2 trains, man. No, my solution's way better than everybody else's. 2 trains, man. Don't do that. Sploosh U says, never underestimate the bandwidth of a station wagon full of tapes hurling down the highway. Is it more efficient for me to run a pipeline with pumps and storage tanks every so often from a far-flung oil field to my main process center, or just configure a fluids train? Fluids train every day. Don't run pipes for that long. 1, you lose efficiency. 1, you lose UPS. 2, you lose friction. You have to have pumps and tanks and pumps and tanks and pumps and tanks. Trains. You can run pipes from your first oil field. Usually, after all that, you run your trains. Trains. Scob17. It's safe to update from the latest stable to the latest experimental on existing map. Nope. Never is. Give it a couple days, and that answer will always become apparent to you if you just wait a few days. Let the crazies answer that for you. N/A, can someone double check? I like this guy. This guy answers. This guy is not only a question asker, but a question answerer. He is super helpful. N/A, you should come by sometime. Let's close these other windows. Is this signaled properly, he says. It's based on the compact design. I want to add wider solar panels to the rails. We did that too. Okay, right-hand drive. I've changed signals in the as the outputs. So let's look. Coming in here. Yep, rail signal there, rail signal there. So here, here, and here. Rail signals. There, and there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Otherwise, everything looks good. Intersection, entering the intersection, intersection, all looks good. Assuming that's that way, this is that way, this is down, this is down. I think it's good. It's not a traffic jam. It'll back up because he's got all chain signals. If you put a rail signal anywhere in here, you have a traffic jam. But because he's stopping out here and he can back up along this longer line, it's fine. Otherwise, I'm down with this. So what he has a decent plan here is to make your solar panels inside your rails. It's not a bad idea. And with our favorite, substations. Anubis says, so I have a blueprint that I want to have requester chests full of the items I want to fill out BP, pretty much a base in many boxes. I want to set up a certain condition to light up a series of lights to tell me when the requests have been filled. So I know when I can scoop it all up and build the blueprint in one go. What kind of cert condition am I looking at here? I'm racking my brain to get it right. What a cool problem to create and solve. So probably some deciders, or you could probably put in a chain of constant combinators that have your inventory, your objects and your inventory levels in them, and then do some deciders to say, wire them all together. A simple way to do it is wire them all together on one signal and then compare the two through a decider. Does all of X equal all of Y? And if so, or have a light per chest and say, or a light per chest and say, my goal is X, and if the requester chest is Y, you do a decider to say, hey, does X equal Y? If so, light. Easy enough. Unless you're sharing chests and all that business, you get way complex from it. That seems good. And you may need an arithmetic to calculate the difference before you decide. Yeah. Just downloading for the first time. Any good place to start with tutorials walkthrough? There's a great streamer you need to visit on Twitch, twitch.tv/Clowntown. He does a new player night every Friday night where he has the heart of a teacher, and you can ask any question you want. And if you have a base that you want him to look at, you can just message him on Discord, and he'll be happy to walk you through it. Iron Toes says, does pollution affect all biters on the map? No. For example, yes. For example, if I hope on a train, oh please train, please train. If I hope on a train and lay out a ton of rails, will I eventually hit a point, spread out weak biters like the start of the game? No. Okay, so pollution only aggravates and hits biters within its cloud, but evolution happens to the biter community as a whole. Biter evolution will also impact spawn rate and spawn strength and all that business. Local pollution determines how many biters will spawn. So in your scenario of I make a bunch of pollution near my base and I get a bunch of biters evolved and make a ton of large and behemoth biters, but then I take a rail and I go way out 10,000 chunks to the left. Do I ever find little biters again? The answer is no. Unless that chunk was spawned when you started, then maybe. But the new chunks and the new biters generated will generate at the higher evolution level. Go get them. Merzanth says, are there any current walkthroughs as to how to set up a multiplayer game? I'm looking to set up a world so that my nephew and I can play asynchronously if we log in at different times. Oh, I use Creeper Host. I'm looking at Nodecraft at the moment. You can pay a service. You can also go to Factorio Zone. You can share and coordinate the save file, which is a little janky. Just go get you a... he doesn't have a computer you can leave on 24/7. You just get a server on AWS and throw Factorio on it. I would recommend using something like Creeper Host or something like Nodecraft, because they have click a button, have Factorio installed, choose your version, choose your worlds, all through a GUI. because I don't want to do command lines. You can use the GUI, especially if you don't know how to set up a Factorio server on Linux or any of that. Have the service do that for you. There you go. That's a way to do it. And well done playing multiplayer with you and your nephew. Well done. Hopefully this is a young person who really enjoys Factorio and does circuits and all that business. So that's really great. And finally, Iron Toes says, where are good places to use stack inserters? Good question. I'm back after being away from the game for quite a while and just got Blue Science packs online. I'm setting myself up to upgrade the early layout of my base with all new tech. It doesn't look like stack inserters have much of an advantage over fast inserters when transferring to or from belts. Correct. Stacker inserters are best from a static source. An assembler, a chest, a train, a chemical plant, something where it's not moving. They can output onto belts okay, or into another chest. So a great application is wagon to chest and back and forth. Loading trains. Number one use case for stack inserters is loading trains. Number two use case is directly out of an assembler, the output of an assembler. Do that. Stack inserters are pretty fantastic for a static source. Container to container insertion. Yep. Into and out of trains. Peko and Lurker in Chief. They can be going faster and to and from belts. They have a tough time picking up off of a belt. But outputting onto a belt, they're fine. Container to container. They can still be used, but you'll see them as if a belt is here and the stack inserter is perpendicular to it, they'll try and do this little try and pick it up, and be a little bit of confusion when they're trying to pick it up, and they're a little bit delayed when trying to do that. So they're not super recommended for from belt to inserter, but output, sure. All right, let's look at Reddit in general, and let's look at just a couple things. This was a crazy phenomenon that we saw all week, which was trains going roundy-round. This one, Factorio. These trains, this is all week. All week, nothing but these trains. Those. Version 18.7. Somebody 3D printed a model of an inserter, which is neato. Should have made it blue. It's actually orange, nice and bright. Somebody picked up a warehouse. This was hilarious. This is exactly something I would do. I haven't done this bad. But this looks like a Bob's and Angels warehouse. If I had to guess, because I'm looking at looks like some Givelite chunks. Probably not right, but those are chunks. Givelite might be blue though. I don't know what kind of chunks those are. Slag was the right one. Yep, my new utility production line is the same as the size of the rest of the factory. Yep. Scale up. My tank rushing strategy worked. 3 hours, 40 minutes into, managed to clear out a decent sized perimeter. Good job. Rush engines. Look at this. This was all week long we've had these. All these train things. Infinity trains. New beacon suggestion. This guy, this is Muppet. I talked to him this week. Logistic requests laid out like the crafting tab. But why? Which half the stuff in this subreddit you could ask why. Oh, here's someone I've known this guy for a long time. This guy posted a weird one. Very cool here. Look at that. This guy must be some sort of crazy stud. 12K science per minute. Man, it's a pretty good base right there. Oh. Upvote all these.
0.0.
That was an hour. That's a long time to hold that at 12K per minute. He must be rocking and rolling. And then here we go. Train's running. To the guy with 11 locomotives, I'll raise you 1801. There's this one. All these loco groups. And there's the rainbow one. There's 11 in a nice tight loop. And then someone threw 11, all these locomotives in them. I like this wallpaper. Pyanodon's wallpaper. Look at this. That'd be neato. I don't know what these things are. More, there's 6 locomotives in a loop. I raised you 10. Someone got 11. Someone got 1801. And then this week has been just all locomotives going roundy round. And finally, this one I found neato was this is Dad asking about Factorio. Water. Noah's dad says water. After all these years, don't place it on yourself. Oh, good idea. It will kill you. Killed. Oh. He probably had water bore. It's probably the mod he was using. All right, thank you very much. That was FFF and This Week in Reddit for March 27th, 2020. If you like that sort of thing, hit that like and subscribe. Come see me 5-6 days a week. Twitch.tv/ClownTown. If you have a comment, or you can leave it in the comments below. All the links to everything that I have is down in the description below. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.